The Salt Dip Podcast, taking life, business, and adventure with just a pinch of salt. Welcome back to the Salt Dip Podcast. It's so good to see you again. And the fact that it's the beginning of May already is absolutely crazy. This year is shooting by. This morning, I want to have a chat with you about something I saw on Instagram, which was absolutely fantastic. Just a post which said, you can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf. And I thought that was really brilliant as far as, carrying different journeys in life is concerned. And, everything that happens will pass at different times, and everything has a season at the end of the day. So just a really lovely reminder for that. And, not all waves are equal. That is definitely one thing that we see in our lives in the ocean. The sets come through, each and every single set and wave in that set will be different from the rest of your experience. And each day is different as well. The conditions are different every single time we go out into the water. So how can we start identifying where we might need some different skills or surfing lessons or assistance, or to just be going, well, I keep doing the same thing and it's not working. How can I find that result? And I think a big part of that is just reflection on what is happening in your life and your journey at that point in time. I'll give you an example where I found actually in my surfing last week when I was in the water, things didn't quite go to plan. And it felt strange at the time. So the conditions were absolutely perfect. I'm talking like glassy water, no wind at all, not a single breath of wind. The waves weren't that big either. They were coming in nice and cleanly. There were definitely bigger sets and smaller sets. There were plenty of surfers in the water, little longboarders, which was lovely to see. In our spot here in the Strand, you tend to get more, different days for different things, but we have a lot of shortboarders because the waves can get quite large. So that was the condition. And I'm at a point where my fitness level is really not bad at all. I actually enjoy how strong I feel, especially in the water on most days. And I just found that I was struggling and struggling and struggling, and it wasn't quite working. So decided maybe my board was too short. I ride a 7.6, that's my board that I have. Popped out the water, mission to the surf school, swapped it for a 9-foot. No excuses now, right? A 9-foot is easier to paddle, just to give you an idea. So you do a lot less work when you're paddling. It's much easier to catch a wave on it, especially when the conditions are right. And these were perfect longboard conditions. And it's much easier to pop up because you don't unbalance yourself as easily. Went and got the equipment to make it even easier. And I got back into the water and I just felt tired and I just felt heavy and I just felt that everything was hard work and that my breathing wasn't coming right and I wasn't stepping on the right part of the board. I was somehow on that beautiful big board still managing to actually make the nose dip into the water on the front. So, my positioning wasn't correct. And so it's basically you can do everything except what I did. That's what you can do with a longer board. And, We've gone through actually having to put one of our animals down just a week before that, literally 7 days. And you don't realize how much you carry grief and just even having that grace for it and just going, well, this is what's going on right now. So even though I feel fit, even though I felt rested, even though the conditions were really, really good, my body was showing up differently because of what I was going, and I still am going through. It's not even been 2 weeks by the time I'm recording this, just to give you an idea. But it's that acknowledgement of it at least, and then the ability to go, okay, what else? How can we work with this? How do we find grace? How do we have acceptance? And then how do we go and adapt and learn from this? And I think the truth can be said in all parts of life, not just in our personal lives, but in business where we might be seeing lower economic turns. Some businesses, at the moment are doing fantastic. Others are struggling to find the right market to connect with. Others are finding that people are saying, no, that costs too much, because they maybe have a value disconnect with that product or service. And there's a lot more of that going on right now because the world has got a higher amount of uncertainty going on in it. So I find that at times like this, it's rest. We take the rest where it comes. And I've been in those situations in business where you're wanting to earn and you have to earn, maybe cash flow is not behaving the way you want it to, and you push and you push and you push. But it is a bit like pushing a stone uphill. And taking a moment to rest, because it will turn, is not a bad idea. And I don't mean stop completely, but just make sure that you're then being mindful with the time and space and using that, because it can help you prepare for what's going to come next. Or even just that bit of time where you're not actively doing, you can then have those moments where you come up with a better idea or you problem solve in a different way. And that can only happen when we have a bit of space to do so. Now, surfing for me creates that space. When you're out on a board in the ocean, majority of the time you need to just be thinking about what you're doing next, what the waves are doing, who's around you, because otherwise you can end up hurt, or struggling to breathe if you end up getting caught in a bit of a tumble with a wave, a bit of a whitewash. So yeah, making sure that you end up being so present. And with that, I find is by the time I climb out the water, even though I haven't been actively thinking about things, puzzle pieces have fallen into place, and it can help sort of the problem solving and that next step forward, and where's that next conversation going to happen. That is where you can focus when things are feeling a little bit more uncertain. Always just doing what is the next right best thing that you can do, one step in front of the other. I think anytime when life is feeling challenging, that works well. Just what is the next best step? It doesn't have to be the whole plan. It doesn't have to, rewrite your future. I mean, I've had times in my life where people would say to me, well, what's your 5-year plan? And I was like, I can't even tell you what next month's plan is, just because of what I was going through in life in that moment. It's okay to be there, but just making that conscious effort to do one next step. And again, if you need to find space in your mind and in your diary to be able to connect with ideas that are going to work better for you going forward, it doesn't have to be surfing. A good walk solves a lot of different things. Again, I saw a fantastically funny Instagram where someone was like, well, I don't want to go for a walk. And then they go for a walk, and by the time they've come back, they've solved all their problems, or they've got that energy just to do those things that they need to do next. And they were a bit grumpy about it, but joke grumpy, because it worked. But we don't want it to work necessarily. But everybody has something that can bring space like that to them. Physical exercise does make a difference. So yeah, getting out for a walk, go and do the hobby that you have a passion for. Just take downtime from the problems you're trying to solve, and it can help you just come up with the next best way of handling them. And then, yeah, if you are struggling in business or in your personal life at the moment, reach out to somebody and connect with them and find, I think, solace, in just the people around you. And that's the big difference. Community is there. And if you're feeling that your community is not strong enough, it's also a good invitation to go and make some new connections. Go try something new. Go and step into a space that maybe you hadn't thought of before, because you don't know who is sitting there waiting to be connected with you. Community is what carries us when we need it. So I do some network marketing in BNI every Tuesday morning. That is where I am. I have a community of people. A couple of weeks ago, I ran into somebody who was part of our group a few years ago now, and he's going through life. His wife's passed away, and I just said to him, just come visit, just come reconnect with people that maybe you haven't seen for a while, but who care about you. Like, do you have enough people, the right people around you when you really do need that support? And it was lovely as he did, which was great. And it was so good to see him come and reconnect with people that he's known for a while, but maybe hadn't seen. And there's always ways that you can build out the connections that you have. There are spaces where people are meeting or gathering, whether that's for a hobby or for business or for faith, whatever it might be that attracts you. You can go and find people there to connect with who will be like-minded and be able to understand what it is that you're going through. So that is the invitation today, is going just, number one, accepting that each wave in life is different. And we can't blame the waves. We've got to just fix our ability to be able to ride them better and upskill ourselves, or even just get the right equipment, right? You can't surf if you don't have the board. Have you got the right equipment to get you through each of those spaces that you're facing? Reach out to community. Make sure you are connected and you have good people around you that you can talk to, or even just that they're there, have a presence in your life, which will enable you to get through that period itself, and focus on where you can go and find some quiet spaces in your life that free up your mental space, that keep you present so that you can problem solve the things that you need to problem solve, and probably also come to terms with and accept the things that we can't. There's some fantastic wise words already out there that point in that direction. We need to be able to know what we can change and accept the things that we can't change. Otherwise, we are really just pushing that big boulder straight up a hill. So that's it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for you today, but hopefully that's left you with something to think about. If this has stirred some feelings and thoughts in you and you feel that you do need more support, what I would highly recommend is that you tune in for the second podcast of this month, where I am interviewing Fiona. She is a body talk practitioner and absolutely amazing at what she does. And some of the things that I've just spoken to you about, she would be able to assist you with moving grief, presence, coming to terms with where you're at the moment. I invite you to listen to the next podcast so that you can learn what that means and what that looks like and how you could possibly reach out to her. But in the interim, be kind to yourself and just do what you can do every single day.